The Wife of Bath's tale is an Arthurian romance. I mean, King Arthur's right there in the introduction. And it is a medieval romance that involves a knight, ladies, adventures, and magic. The whole thing, it is a medieval genre that started flourishing around the 12th century in French and got into English because, it's still francophone. It's still a francophone upper class in England. A lot of the Arthur material actually kind of it starts in Wales or in Wales and moves down into Brittany and France, then back up into England. This is an Arthur story. It involves fairies. It's a little high class. It's actually traditionally an upper class genre, and the Wife of Bath is telling it, which partly suggests to us that the romance genre, medieval romance genre, is moving a little down market as it's moved down market now. And by Spenser and Shakespeare's time, there will be some really cheap, popular medieval romances that are looked on as a little trashy. Also, it might be that the Wife of Bath is actually telling a tale that's above her social station, that she's actually not going to tell a down and dirty tale like the Miller, but going to tell a tale that belongs to the elite classes more than it belongs to her own social class. But she and Chaucer have Wife of Bath this story up. This story exists, the story of the Arthur Knight who gets in a jam and meets the loathly lady who has to answer the question he needs to get himself to save his life, and then is forced to marry her, and then the kissing, get the kiss, and then the choice, which is it going to be, boy, and he lets her pick. This is not unique to the Wife of Bath's tale. There are other, we call sources and analogs. There are other versions of this story with the same basic narrative from the same period. But Chaucer and the Wife of Bath have consistently intervened in this story, reshaped it in a very Wife of Bath way to center it very clearly on the relationships between men and women. Chaucer and the wife have taken away the identity of the knight. In other surviving versions of the story, it's Sir Gawain, Arthur's nephew, one of the leading Knights of the Round Table, depending on where you meet, depending on how old the story is. Sometimes he's knight number 1. He gets demoted over the years and falls further and further behind Lancelot. This is just an anonymous knight. It's not about the knight. We took away his name because this isn't about him. It's really not. In other versions of the story, the knight is doing something to bail out Arthur. It is about his duty to another man, to a more powerful man, to his uncle, the king. It's usually Gawain, Arthur's nephew, and right hand or later on left hand man. This is, somewhat shockingly to a modern sensibility, this is a knight who starts out convicted of rape. He is a rapist. And there's no shyness about it. And another thing that's different is, the other versions of this tale, the knight is trying to bail the king out of a jam with this supernatural knight or ogre who's got him in a jam, and it's only the nephew can rescue him by finding out the answer to this question. This time it's the knight himself who's in jeopardy, just him, because of what he's done to a woman, because he's wronged a woman, and everyone in power over this knight is a woman. He is handed over to the queen and her ladies to decide his punishment, and they're like, death, or answer our riddle. Riddle or death. And even that kind of court of love is a kind of courtly culture thing that arrives with both the courtly romance and with the courtly love genre. The idea of the court of love, where the lord of the manor and his knights, they have a court, they run the law, and they deal with the business and the law part of the law, then they deal with politics and war. Well, we have our own separate court where we make the love judgments. I'm Judge Love. So the queen here is the love judge, and she and the ladies are like, answer our question or death. Answer the question. The question is, what do women want? For Arthur and the boys, this is a stumper. They're puzzled, baffled. They have no idea. It's like they never really thought about it. It's worth going through that list of other things people say. Honor, richezza. Is it money? Is it wealth? Is it honor? Is it to have their ways? This is to have good sex and lots of it. All things, a whole list of things that are perfectly nice things to have, and all on the wife of Beth's own to-get list. She enjoys all those things, but none of them is really the answer. Our night happens upon a fairy dance. England being apparently, according to the wife, formally, but not currently, occupied by fairies who you could meet, dancing under the moonlight. And he meets a supernatural woman who is supernaturally hideous. She gives him the answer to the question, the mastery, and saves his life. He's at every step. Our knight has wronged a woman. He's done a wrong to a woman. He's sentenced by women. He is bailed out by a woman. This is not at all about his relationship with men, but about him relating to and accepting female authority. He tries to weasel out of it, right? She shows up and there's a classic, hey, give me anything. She promised anything you want. I want to marry you. He has to do it. He's given his knightly word. He does it. The wedding night, he mopes. The hero usually, when he's identified as an extremely good-looking courtly, is like, the hunkiest and he's the biggest ladies' man in the round table. And now he's got this wife who's sexually unattractive to him. She has asked for a kiss, and it's about his courtesy. The test in the second half of the story is both about his courtesy. Can he live up to the class pretensions he claims he has? He claims to be a knight and a gentleman. Can he behave courteously, gently? The word courtesy comes from being courtly. It's originally an upper class word, like to be around the court, to be around royal or noble people, and to behave appropriately for that setting. Does he have any? He's from the court. He's from the court, but does he have any courtesy? He's from the gentle classes. He's a gentleman, someone who inherits land for a living. But does he act like a gentleman? Very important and worth a good close reading is the long lecture from the wife, very much like our narrator wife, from the lady about gentilessa, gentleness, or gentility. Yeah, you say you're gentle because you have this ancestry, because you have this money, because you have this rank. These things that officially make you a gentle person. But then there's a kind of larger sense of like, are you really a gentle person? Are you gentle in your heart? Do you behave well? Are you generous? Are you kind? Do you live up to this class ideology? It isn't quite the case that Chaucer doesn't believe in the class ideology. He does, but he's also got this kind of kindler, gentler version of it where it's like, yeah, but it's really about behaving like a gentleman, which leads our young gentleman to give his wife the kiss he deserves. She is transformed into a beautiful woman. In other versions of the story, he is given a choice. The choice he's usually given is, hey, I can be beautiful all day and hideous at night, or I can be beautiful all night and hideous during the day. Okay, which do you choose? And then he lets her choose. He has a preference, but he gives up. He lets her choose, as in our story. Here it's different. Here it's a much more down-to-earth wife of Bath question. What do you want? Do you want a sexy wife? Or do you want a sexually faithful wife? Pick it. I can be beautiful. I can be faithful. Your call. His answer, the right answer is, do what you think best. He submits in marriage. He lets his wife make the decision. This is the right answer. He gets beautiful and faithful. That's also a much more down to earth and much more pointed version of the story than other telltellers tell. The wife of Bath and Chaucer are really going for the crux of the male female relationship here. What makes this what women want? They want to be in charge, right? I would also point you to the the end where the wife, as storyteller, says, "God send us all husbands like this, young, hot, obedient, that we can be in charge of." Right? That's terrific. That's a classic. That's a great intervention of this intrusion of the storyteller into the story. Yeah, that's what she wants. Oh, well, if we could all have husbands like this, young, good-looking husbands who do what they say, perfect. That's her dream. But look at, she uses the word us. Who's us? For once, a female character gets to suggest to the audience, to presume that the audience is female, that the audience is heterosexual women who would want young male husbands. For once, the audience is, this story, men are allowed to read it, but it's actually that us tells us this story isn't really aimed at you, though you could learn something from it, gentlemen. Be a gentleman. So she's got a moral. Be a gentleman. Be a gentleman, really a gentleman. Listen to your wife. Man, wouldn't it all be great if we get young, sexy, obedient husbands like this?